Hello everyone, this is the Abundance Oracle, and here today it says feels like 15 degrees. I can confirm that. I'm inside and it still feels like 15 degrees. I need to turn my fireplace on. I've been thinking, listening to a lot of YouTube lately, and there's some consistency between everybody. Everybody's saying how bad it is, how bad it is, how bad it is. Organize and prepare. But people aren't telling you how to save money. And I'm going to tell you what Crazy Nana, who was born in 1902, so she went through the Great Depression in her 20s, and it impacted her so much that she behaved as though she was in some form of the Great Depression throughout her life. And she used to take us cousins back then for the summertime, and we used to get to see just how she lives. And to pay for all the cousins, it was usually the 5 girls, and the moms were busy working and the dads were working. Everybody's working to try and get ahead and save money, etc. So things that she used to do that we just grew up doing or knowing how to do, most people nowadays just don't have any clue about. And my friend reminded me of that the other day. What you grew up with, people weren't taught. You need to get out there and teach people, or at least talk about it. So I have to ask you, what is the appliance in your house that takes up the most electricity? Because we're going to be cutting back on electricity. The costs are going up. Okay, what is that? What is that appliance? Well, the appliance that takes the most electricity is the dryer. So now you're going to start to cut back on the drying. How are you going to cut back on the drying? Well, my grandmother told my grandfather, get out there and hang up some clotheslines. And you don't need the fancy $300 one. You only need some rope and a cross bar from tree to tree. It's free, basically. Well, if you have to go out and buy the boat, but buy the rope, it's not free. But start drying things outside. First off, it smells so much better. Second off, it'll save your sheets and your clothing to last much longer. Okay, here's another idea. If you must, you take it to the laundromat and get a big, huge dryer and one load, huge, just push it all in there and semi-dry it and bring the rest home and then hang it up. Okay, now what do you use for you cut your carrot tops off and you save them. All your leftover pieces of vegetable that you deem unacceptable to put on somebody's plate. So that would be the carrot top, the green beans little top, the pieces of the pea pods that the peas came in, all those little pieces. What my grandmother used to do is she used to have it wasn't plastic, I think it was a baggie they had or something, but when she taught me, it was a plastic bag, and it was in the freezer. And you kept putting all that discard, which is what most people call it, she put it in the baggie. And then the day that you cooked your chicken, you kept the carcass and you put those pieces in and boiled, and did a low simmer so that you made your chicken stock, and it was flavored a bit, and it was practically for free. all those little pieces of chicken. Now, if you have more pieces of chicken on there, don't put the bad stuff in. Just make your chicken as though it's going to be your chicken soup. And then later on, if you wanted to add that, you can. Or if you wanted to drain it, it turns into chicken stock. So there's a lot of little things that you can do to start saving money that won't impact your lifestyle. Because people nowadays are so used to an upper end lifestyle, they don't have any clue on how to live frugally. And even if you tell them, it's sort of like, oh, well, I don't need to do that. Of course you don't need to do that. But we're in preparation now for what has already been a recession, but looks like the housing market is getting worse. The repossessed cars are getting worse. There's just so many statistics out there, and I'm sure you hear it because everyone's saying doom and gloom. The only people that aren't saying doom and gloom are the people who have purchased gold and silver over the past few years. So, and then there were those random Bitcoin people who got in at a very low, they gambled. That was a gamble because they got in so low, and then it took off, and some of them took profits, and so they're still doing fine. So I would love to ask you what you learned from your grandmother on how to save money. And I'll share more with you as time goes on as well. But reuse practically everything. Your aluminum foil, clean it off. Your piece that went over the top of your pot or whatever, your macaroni and cheese, clean it off, let it dry, put it back into your little drawer. That's what I use, a little drawer. Save the plastic bags from your bread that you buy. Rinse them clean. Let those, turn them inside out, let those dry. Those can become your new Ziploc bags. And all she used to do is she used to put her stuff in, and then they're long bags, so you wrap it around twice and shove it in the refrigerator. No need for the fancy Ziplocs. No. You might want to keep the fancy Ziplocs still for your freezer food, though. Or if you have a vacuum sealer, that's even better. All right. You know, I can go on, and I know you don't want to hear that, but start to think of solutions to things that you do on an everyday basis that would save you 10 cents here, 10 cents there, 50 cents, $1. Keep thinking that way. I have some tenants that don't turn in their 5-cent cans. And I'm saying, okay, put all your cans in the bag and I'll take them in. The last one I took in, the whole bag was overflowing. There's so much soda and everything. Now, why aren't those people saving that money? It's just an inconvenience, I guess. But take that bag and put it in the back of your car. And when you go to the store, you don't have to make a special trip or anything. When you go to the store, turn in those 5 cents. If you don't want those 5 cents, then turn it in and donate it to the Santa Claus that will be ringing his bell. Think of it that way. All right, I love you all. Share an idea or two with the rest of the gang here. Love you tons, and we're going to get through this. It is going to be a bumpy road, and if you can afford it, get your beef now. Okay, love you all. Bye-bye.